You ever feel like the world is just a giant fading photograph? Like if you blink too hard, the colors will just leak out of the edges. I'm standing here at the edge of a world that shouldn't exist. The sky over this version of Mexico isn't blue. It's the color of a bruise that won't heal. Behind me, the DHV Magellan is groaning, a massive steel leviathan anchored in a sea of tar. And in front of me, just miles and miles of hostile, beautiful nothingness. They told us connecting the world was the answer. They told us if we just shared our data, our lives, and our ghosts, we'd be whole again. But look at us now. Sam Bridges is older. The beard is grayer. The world is bigger, scarier, and somehow even lonelier. On the PS5 Pro, I can see every individual grain of sand hitting my visor at 60 frames per second, and it's a constant reminder. The higher the resolution, the harder the truth hits. We aren't just delivering packages anymore, Mama. We're delivering a funeral service for a planet that refused to die. Let's set the stage. If the first game was a lonely hike through the graveyard of the United States, Death Stranding 2 is a global expedition into the unknown. We've moved beyond the borders of the UCA. The mission has shifted from Reconnect America to Save the Species. We've traded the mossy, rain-soaked hills of the Atlantic for the jagged, sun-bleached landscapes of Mexico and the terrifying, alien-like outback of Australia. You're part of Drawbridge, a civilian organization funded by a mysterious benefactor, operating out of a mobile base that makes the first game's distribution centers look like cardboard boxes. The Magellan isn't just a menu screen, it's your heart. It's where you see Fragile, Leah Seydoux, struggling with the physical toll of her past. It's where you see Tomorrow, Elle Fanning, trying to understand a world she wasn't born into. You aren't just a courier, you're a ghost hunter, a diplomat, and a structural engineer, all wrapped in one suit. And the context is simple. If we don't find a way to stabilize the strand across the globe, the beach won't just be a place we go when we die. The beach will be the only thing left. People think this game is about walking. They're wrong. It's about belonging. Sam Bridges has an emotional need that he hides behind that gruff, I don't need anyone exterior. He needs to know if he's a father or a weapon. His relationship with Lou, the baby who is now a toddler, is the most gut-wrenching thing you'll experience this year. When Lou laughs through the DualSense speaker while you're sliding down a sand dune, you feel a spark of joy. When Lou is in danger, you'll run through a field of BTs with a shotgun and zero fear, because that kid is the only thing left that's pure. There is a deep, poetic sadness in seeing Fragile try to lead. She carries the guilt of the first game like a physical weight. You see the regret in her eyes every time she looks at the Magellan's monitors. This game makes you laugh at its absurdity, like a talking puppet sidekick, and then makes you weep 5 minutes later, when a character explains why they'd rather live in the tar than face the sun. It hits you in the chest, bro. Hard.
The armed survivalists are the real deal this time. They don't just want your cargo, they want you dead. They use drones to track your heat signature, they use gravity disruption grenades to send your cargo flying. And then there's Higgs. My God, Higgs. He's back, and he's turned the theatrics up to 11. He's not just a villain, he's a mirror, reflecting our own obsession with violence and spectacle. But the biggest conflict? It's the disappointment. The disappointment of reaching a destination only to find the people there have given up. The disappointment of building a bridge only to watch a timefall wildfire melted into slag. Without that struggle, the like system would be meaningless. You earn those likes with sweat, blood, and the literal skin off your feet. Patterns? Forget them. Kojima breaks patterns like a toddler breaks toys. Just when you think you've mastered the traversal, the game gives you a monorail system. Suddenly, you're not just walking, you're managing a high-speed logistics network. You think you're playing a sci-fi drama? Suddenly, there's a boss fight that plays out like a parody of a 1980s slasher flick. The biggest what the moment. The way the asynchronous multiplayer has evolved. Now you aren't just seeing ladders and signs, you can see the holographic echoes of other players' journeys. You can join rest zones where the ghosts of other Sams sit around a fire, sharing music and stories. It's a twist on the very concept of multiplayer. You're never alone, even when you're the only living soul for 1,000 miles. The transformation in On the Beach is a masterclass in pacing. You start as a broken man in a broken suit, barely able to cross a river with face planting, but by the 40-hour mark, you are a beast mode force of nature. You're wearing an exoskeleton that lets you sprint at 60 miles per hour. You're piloting a carrier that glides over water. You've transformed a desolate wasteland into a connected, humming engine of human spirit. But the real transformation is Sam. He goes from a man who wanted to be forgotten to a man who realizes that being remembered is the only way we survive. From fear to power, from heartbreak to purpose. When you finally reach the shores of Australia and look back at the network you built, you don't just see a map, you see a legacy. If you're playing this on a base PS5, you're seeing a masterclass, but on the PS5 Pro, you're seeing the future. The Decima engine on the Pro hardware is absolutely cracked. We're talking about PSSR delivering an image so sharp it'll cut your eyes. The quality mode is beautiful for photo mode addicts, but performance mode is where the magic happens. A rock-solid 60 FPS makes the combat feel like a high-octane action movie. The lighting, boss, the lighting. When the sun sets over the Australian bush and the shadows stretch across the red dirt, the ray tracing on the Pro makes it look like a National Geographic documentary. It's the ultimate flex for Sony's mid-gen refresh.